There are actors who chase fame, and then there are actors who chase truth. Robert Seldon Duvall belonged to the second category. He was not built for spectacle. He was built for depth. And to understand his life, you have to start long before Hollywood ever knew his name. The Admiral's Son. Born January 5, 1931, in San Diego, California, Duvall grew up as the son of a U.S. Navy Rear Admiral. Discipline defined his childhood. His father valued order, duty, restraint. Emotional display was not encouraged. Ironically, that restraint became the foundation of his greatness. He learned early how to observe quietly, how to listen, how to study people. Those instincts would later make him one of the most subtle actors in cinema history. But young Robert did not grow up dreaming of red carpets. He grew up in a household where service mattered more than stardom. He studied at Principia College and then moved to New York to attend the neighborhood playhouse school of the theater. There, under the legendary acting coach Sanford Meisner, Duvall immersed himself in craft rather than glamour. He learned to listen, to react, to become the character, not simply perform one. But the war served only as a detour. His true path pulled him toward drama. It was a discipline directly inherited from his Navy upbringing, but applied to empathy instead of command. The New York years, poverty and brotherhood. When he moved to New York to study acting at the neighborhood playhouse under Sanford Meisner, he entered a completely different world. There, he formed lifelong friendships with two other struggling actors, Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman. They were not glamorous young men. Casting agents often dismissed them as too ordinary. They shared apartments. They borrowed money. They auditioned endlessly. Duvall once said they were all just trying to survive. Three unmarketable young actors who would go on to reshape American cinema. First marks in Hollywood, 1960 to 1970. In 1962, Robert Duvall made a small but unforgettable appearance in To Kill a Mockingbird as the reclusive Boo Radley. His performance had no dialogue, yet the moment his face appeared on screen was unforgettable. He conjured mystery and kindness in equal measure, an early sign of a career defined by depth rather than spectacle. This was the real turning point. From the shadows, he stepped into presence. Throughout the 1960s, he worked steadily in film, television, and theater. He built a foundation of range: comedy, drama, experimental films, and westerns, all before most actors hit their stride. Marriage, love, and solitude. Unlike many Hollywood legends, Duvall's romantic life did not revolve around scandal, but it was complex. He married 4 times. Barbara Benjamin, 1964 to 1975. His first marriage was to dancer Barbara Benjamin. It lasted over a decade, a long stretch for Hollywood standards, but ultimately ended in divorce. During these early years, Duvall was still climbing the ladder of fame. The pressures of an actor's unpredictable life took their toll. Gail Youngs, 1982 to 1986. He later married actress Gail Youngs. This union was shorter and more turbulent. Duvall was deeply committed to his work, often disappearing into roles for months at a time. Sharon Brophy, 1991 to 1996. His third marriage brought him into a more settled phase of life, but again, the relationship eventually dissolved. There was a pattern emerging, not recklessness, but restlessness. Duvall was deeply private, deeply independent, almost monastic in his devotion to craft. It made intimacy complicated. Luciana Pedraza, 2005 to present in known records. In 2005, he married Argentine actress and director Luciana Pedraza. She was significantly younger than him, and their relationship surprised some observers. But this marriage seemed different. They bonded over Argentine culture, tango, and filmmaking. Duvall became deeply passionate about tango dancing, not casually, but intensely. He traveled frequently to Argentina. He funded tango festivals. He immersed himself in the culture. Luciana once described him as gentle, curious, and unexpectedly playful. Behind the stoic screen persona was a man who loved rhythm, horses, and quiet country evenings. Duvall spent much of his later life in rural Virginia. He preferred horses to Hollywood parties. He avoided flashy social scenes. He supported charitable causes quietly, particularly arts education and veterans initiatives. He never cultivated the mythology of being a Hollywood legend. In interviews, he was blunt, sometimes dry, often humorous in an understated way. He didn't need to dominate a room. He simply occupied it. His relationship with fame. Unlike contemporaries such as Al Pacino or Marlon Brando, Duvall never seemed seduced by celebrity mystique. He skipped premieres. He avoided industry gossip. He turned down roles that didn't feel authentic, even if they paid well. He famously walked away from appearing in The Godfather Part 3 because he believed the compensation did not reflect his value compared to Pacino. That decision wasn't about ego, it was about principle. The Godfather and Eternal Recognition, 1970 to 1974. Then came the role that put him at the very center of cinema history. In 1972, Francis Ford Coppola cast Duvall as Tom Hagen, consigliere to the Corleone family in The Godfather. Duvall's calm, reserved tone masked moral tension and steel, making Hagen one of the most compelling figures in any mafia story ever told. He reprised the role in The Godfather Part 2 and earned critical acclaim, including an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Yet, in a twist that surprised many, he chose not to appear in The Godfather Part 3, walking away from the role over a contract dispute, a principled stance that underscored his commitment to fairness over fame. The Line the World Remembers, 1979. In 1979, Duvall appeared as Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore in Apocalypse Now, a military man with a paradoxical love for helicopter assaults and surfing. His delivery of the line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," became one of the most quoted and analyzed cinematic lines of all time. What's remarkable is this was not the protagonist, not even close, but Duvall owned the moment. He didn't just act, he inhabited. The spiritual undercurrent. Though raised in a structured military household, Duvall often explored themes of faith and redemption in his work. His film, The Apostle, 1997, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, was deeply personal. It examines sin, forgiveness, ego, and religious fervor. Many critics believe that film revealed more about Duvall than any interview ever did. He was fascinated by flawed men seeking grace, perhaps because he understood them. 7 decades at the top, 1990 to 2020. Through the 1990s, 2000s, and beyond, Duvall never slowed. He appeared in The Apostle, Lonesome Dove, A Civil Action, Gone in 60 Seconds, Open Range, Crazy Heart, The Judge, Widows, and even late career films like Hustle in 2022, a testament to his enduring versatility. Even in his later years, he continued to be an example for younger actors: how to age with grace, how to play complexity with restraint, how an old soul can stay relevant in a young industry. No children, a different legacy. Duvall never had biological children. For some, that absence defines legacy. For him, legacy was artistic. He left behind performances that actors study in classrooms, scenes that film students dissect frame by frame. Tom Hagen in The Godfather, Kilgore in Apocalypse Now, Max Sledge in Tender Broomingses. Each character carried emotional truth without excess. He taught generations of actors that you do not need to shout to be powerful. Temperament and reputation. On set, Duvall was known for professionalism, but also intensity. He expected authenticity. He disliked vanity. Directors described him as collaborative but uncompromising about character integrity. He wasn't difficult, he was precise. Aging with dignity. While many actors chase youth, Duvall embraced aging roles. In films like The Judge, he portrayed aging fathers grappling with mortality, pride, and regret.
There was something fitting about that. He had reached the age where he wasn't acting old, he was old, and he brought lived experience to every line. The man in private moments. Friends described him as reserved but warm, deeply loyal, intensely observant, occasionally stubborn, devoted to craft. He valued conversation over attention, music over noise, dance over spectacle. The enduring image. If you strip away awards, nominations, and iconic lines, what remains is this: a man who built a life on discipline and turned that discipline into art. He did not reinvent himself with gimmicks, he refined himself with patience. And that is why his performances feel timeless, because they were never chasing a trend, they were chasing truth.
The Final Curtain, 2025 to 2026. On February 15, 2026, at the age of 95, Robert Duvall passed peacefully at his home, surrounded by loved ones. His wife, Luciana Pedraza Duvall, announced his death with a heartfelt tribute, calling him her beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time. His passing marked the end of a career that truly defined character acting, less about celebrity, more about humanity itself. Tribute after tribute poured in from peers, critics, and fans around the world, remembering not just the roles he played, but the authenticity he brought to every one. The Academy itself called his work a masterclass in restraint, a style that never demanded attention, yet always held it. Legacy, the quiet power of truth. Robert Duvall did something rare. He built longevity not by chasing trends, but by honoring truth. He showed movie audiences that greatness doesn't have to shout, it can whisper. It can carry sorrow without melodrama. It can deliver unforgettable lines without needing a spotlight. It can be the calm in the room and still be unforgettable. He was nominated for Academy Awards 7 times and won once, but awards were not his compass. His legacy is far deeper. It's in the hearts of every actor who learned to listen rather than just perform. It's in every viewer moved by the subtlest turn of the head. It's in every screen left a little quieter by his absence. He lived a long life, a life full of sound choices, deep characters, and unforgettable performances. A life that taught the world that to portray humanity is to respect it. And for that, Robert Duvall will always remain unforgettable.